Hey guys, just got done watching 2012's Truth or Dare. Look at that cover. I remember seeing this in CEX in England when I lived in England. I saw this in CEX and I was like, £5. Yeah, I'm gonna get that because it looked good. Plus, I'd seen the trailer and the trailer looked good when I saw it on another Cine Asia release. Anyway, from Showbox. I think the company's actually called Showbox, and they do Cine Asia, Cine Britannia, and they do other stuff like Cine Jamaica or something. I don't know, weird, but you know, Cine horror stuff. Anyway, I like it says Truth or Dare, spin the bottle, you decide. Anyway, so it stars Tom Kane, Liam Boyle, Jack Golden, who's also in Panic Button, which is another Cine Britannia film release. Florence Hall, Jenny Jacques, Alexander Vihals, Jason Mazu was in Hooligan Factory and Rise of a Foot Soldier and Welcome to the Punch. He wasn't very big in this. He was kind of like, I don't think he was as big in them either. He was big in Demons Never Die. But yeah, he was kind of like a little character in this, like, you know, popped up a couple of times. Mark Underwood as the cashier. Highlight of the film. David Stern and David Oakes. So basically the film starts with a party. So we're all going like this. The party's going on. Woo! And you basically meet these four characters, or five. You meet Paul, Chris, Gemma, Eleanor, and is it Eleanor? Yeah, Eleanor and Luke. And basically they're party goers, and two of them are couples, like Gemma and Chris are a couple, and Paul and Eleanor are a couple, and Luke's kind of like the background guy, like, you know, like the friend, like the fifth friend kind of thing. Well, they're all thinking, and it's all this, and then you meet Felix, who's a bit shy and a bit awkward and a bit weird. You know what it's like. That guy that's probably you or me. You know, there's a beautiful girl you fancy. She's got a boyfriend. You wish she'd be with you, and she, you know, she's out of your league, but you still want to be with her, and you know if you talk to her, she's going to reject you. But you want to believe that, you know, she wouldn't. So you're a bit awkward around them, you know, and a bit shy and a bit like, So he's looking at her, and Luke walks up to him and says to him, "You're right." And he says, "Oh, no, I'm a bit nervous." So basically he ends up taking some drugs. Because Luke goes, "I can help you with that." And out he comes on, woo, which is quite cool. And he goes up to her, and she sits him down, and Gemma sits him down. And she says to him, "Look, I like you a lot, Felix, but I don't feel that way about you." And he goes, "Why do you stay with Chris? He's evil. He's horrible." And she goes, "I don't know." So later on, they're all sitting around playing Truth or Dare. And the bottle lands on Felix. So Eleanor goes up to him and says, "If there's anyone in this room you'd want to sleep with, and you had a golden ticket." And she rips out a bit of paper and gives it to him and goes, "If this was your golden ticket, who would you give it to?" So he obviously gives it to Gemma, then he throws it at Gemma basically, and her boyfriend Chris goes, "Do you think I'm a mug?" Now it's obvious that Gemma doesn't want to get with Felix, and it's obvious that Felix is very shy and it's not going to happen. As much as I wish it had happened for him, because it would have been probably good for him in the long run after what happened in this film. And, you know, basically, Felix pushes him out of the way like, and Chris decides to punch him in the face. Then mocks him. Then Gemma breaks up with Chris. And then Felix runs outside and so forth. And then basically Eleanor goes up to him and that's it. That's the end of the movie. No, of course not. That was kind of like, you know, the beginning. So about 3 months later, because this was like the end of summer party, you've got Paul. Is it Paul? No, Chris and Luke in the car talking. He says he wants to punch Felix in the face again because he doesn't like him because he's creepy and he wants to get back with Gemma. And then you see Gemma and Eleanor talking, and they go into the place, and the bloke Mark Underwood, who's the cashier, he's looking at Eleanor's breasts. I gotta be honest, the dress she was wearing was really, really nice. You know what I'm saying? And when you've got your card, your credit card in your thing, whoa, you know what I mean? So they leave, and it turns out she's having trouble with Paul because ever since he's got back, he hasn't slept with her. So they're sitting there going, he hasn't? Ooh. So they get in the car and they're basically talking, and then they get to the place. A big manor it is, a big manor. Massive. And then then Woodbridge turns up. The guy looks after the estate. And he says, who are you? And they go, we're here for the party. Now, this is the thing that I don't understand. They're here for Felix's party, all of them. But none of them liked him. I can understand Gemma because she was nice to him. And she was, friendly to him. But the others were quite horrible to him. So why would they even think he'd want them at a party at his house? You know? Oh. I was just sitting there going, I don't get this. Why would he want... why would he want him there? So anyway, Woodbridge tells them, you're going to have to go to their house down the road, in the back, kind of like the guest house kind of thing. So they're walking there, and you get some of the usual stuff, character development, and they get there. And Felix isn't there. But instead, Justin's there, Felix's brother, played by David Oakes. And I have to be honest with you, I thought David Oakes was amazing in this film. He's a great actor. So he welcomes them in and he goes, look, it's been trouble, basically. This was supposed to be a surprise birthday. And you're like, oh, okay, so maybe Felix doesn't know. I'm so sorry about the yawning. It's been a really tiring day. So going back to the review. So basically he says he's stuck in Chile. So he says instead, let's all drink and let's just, relax and you guys can stay the night. So they all start drinking together, and Eleanor's kind of perving on Justin, and Gemma's a bit like, ooh. And Chris and Paul talk to him, and he says he was in the army, but he did 3 tours in Afghanistan. And they're like, oh, really? They're like, because that's what men are like, I guess. Especially when they know their girlfriends or the women they want are looking at another guy like, ooh, So basically, then eventually they decide to play truth or dare. Justin's idea. And at this point, I'm thinking, yeah, this is a setup, surely. Justin is doing this on purpose. So they then play, but then basically the bottle hits Eleanor and the boys, not Felix, Justin's just sitting there spinning the bottle. The boys say, we want to see you and Gemma kiss, and you're like, yeah, okay, get over it. They kiss. Then as they're laughing, Paul says to Chris, oh, as long as they don't get us to do that. And Justin goes, no, that faggoty shit and all this, and gets really angry over it. Alright? Which makes you think it's against homosexuality. Alright? Because he constantly goes on about it. I have to deal with enough of that in the army. And all this. And you're just like, okay. So eventually it gets to him, and he eventually tells him the truth. Or so you think. Felix hung himself and died by the barriers above him. And you're sitting there going, oh my. And then he basically gets out this postcard and says, what one of you writ it? I need your help because you are his friends after all. So basically, Chris and that, they tried to leave, and he basically punches him in the face and gets Luke to tie him up. And you're sitting there thinking, why is Luke so cooperative? Why is he just doing whatever Justin says? And basically he ties them up, and then they go outside. And Justin basically says to him, "Did you do anything, Luke?" And Luke says, "No, I didn't." And he goes, "Can I trust you, Luke?" And Luke goes, "Yeah." And Luke says something about, "I bet this is upsetting." He goes, "It's very upsetting indeed, Luke." And all this, you're like, this guy is losing the plot. So they go inside, and basically then it becomes quite your average one-room kind of horror thriller. And he goes, "Who sent the postcard?" And nobody will tell him. They just call him Psycho. So he plays Truth or Dare again. Spins the bottle. And then basically what he does is he puts this pipe down someone's throat and tells another person to choose whether it's acid or water, but they won't know what's in each jar. So he does that a couple of times through the movie, and they get quite angry, and then basically Jason Mazda turns up, and Luke goes outside because Justin says deal with it, and so he starts messing up. Jonesy starts going, "Oh yeah, you want to cut me out? I'm going to get your bit cut," and all this stuff, because he's a drug dealer. So Justin goes out there, basically gets sprayed in the face, and nobody picks up the gun to threaten Justin with. Instead, they just let him get back to himself and attack Jonesy. So Jonesy's like, and then he says to Justin, then Justin says to Luke, "Here's the gun. Here's your chance." And he looks him dead in the eye like this and goes, "You've got a choice. Either shoot him and be one of the family, or shoot me and save everybody. It's your choice, Luke." 5, 4. Well, Luke obviously shoots Jonesy. So he goes, "Good boy, Luke," and basically says, when it's all done, they can escape, they can leave, and his dad and his people will deal with it. And you're like, he goes, "Your dad knows?" And he goes, "Yeah." And you're like, and that's when Justin says something about family integrity and getting it back and stuff, the honour. So you're sitting there going, "Ooh, this ain't bad." And he goes back inside, and Gemma's legged it. She's got loose. She's on the run. And you're like, "Go Gemma, because you're like, this is the woman. This is going to be the survivor of the film. Yeah, come on, Gemma." Well, she runs and runs, and Justin gets in his Jeep. No, I don't know. Was it Jeep? No, I think it was a, what's it called? Whatever, in his car. Let's just put it that way. Stupid. Well, I'm thinking Rolls Royce. It's not Rolls Royce. I'm trying to think what it is. Anyway, whatever. It's in a car. So he drives down there, and she gets in the manor, right? She's sitting there going, "Ooh," she's in the manor. She's going to find some help, and that's when she finds Felix. Now Felix, he seems paralysed, and he seems like he can't talk or really move. He can just move his eyes like this. So he's like this. Which was really creepy, And Woodbridge runs in with a shotgun, and he says, "Leave the boy alone, leave the boy alone." She holds this blade to his throat, and she tells Woodbridge to put the gun down and leave. So basically, she's all freaked out because she's like, "You having fun with this, Felix?" And Felix is like, "Poor boy," Because in my view, him having like the video feed of what was going on in the room, to me, it was his brother kind of forcing on him, like he forces everything else on him. Like, "You watch what I'm going to do to these people that hurt you, Felix, because you weren't man enough." That's what it seemed like to me. So basically, she holds the shotgun, she goes to go out the door, and Woodbridge runs back in, and she ends up blowing his head off with blood all over her. Then she goes down the corridor, and Justin runs from the other side of the hallway to her. Now, when she shoots, it sounds like she hits him a bit in the side. But later on, you won't be able to tell that. So he takes her in front of Felix, and he holds her, right, like this, around the neck. And Felix is like this. And he just snaps her neck. Justin just snaps her neck, like, And then the most sickest thing I think he did was he leans her dead body down and kisses Felix on the head with her lips and says, "I can understand why you like this one. She was cute." And he leaves, and you're like, bloody hell. And then he turns back up where they are, and it turns out that Eleanor and Paul both got loose, and Eleanor's trying to get him out. And he's like, and she's like, "Put some effort into it, Paul, please, put some effort into it." And Paul's like this, "Oh, I got shot in the leg. Oh, I got 4 fingers shot off and all." And you're like, this poor guy, how's he supposed to walk with a big, massive gunshot in his leg? So he's on the floor, and Justin walks in with Felix in the wheelchair. And basically a fight ensues, and she basically wins over, and she hits him over the head with one of the bottles. But this one has the acid in. So Justin's face gets all figured, and basically she ties him up. Tells Paul to get in the car, and she'll be there in a minute. So Felix is sitting there in the wheelchair like, you know, and you see Justin as it goes round him, and half his face is scarred, like, you know. And she says to him about, because oh, I'm sorry guys, as usual, I forgot a little bit of the plot, which I need to say now. When Eleanor and Paul were trying to escape, it turns out that Luke sent the postcards, which explains why he was falling in line, because he didn't want to be one of the people that got punished like they were. So basically, Eleanor gets loose, and he ends up pushing him. He rolls on a ball, and his head goes in the back of some farming gear, like right in the head, spikes in the head. So going back to what I was saying. So she puts a thing down. She says about how basically Felix was terrified of his family, and she had this video footage that she got because she was hoping that Felix and the family would help her out because her family lost their money. So you're then sitting there going, So then she shows video footage, and it turns out that when she went outside to talk to Felix, she brought him inside to where Paul had passed out drunk, and she was kissing him and basically getting him to give her boyfriend a blowjob, basically, and she filmed it. And when Justin sees it, he goes mental. He's like, like that. And she gives Felix the grenade. The one grenade that was in there. Now, I've got to wonder, what was that grenade doing in there in the first place? But anyway, she gives it to Felix. And she goes, "This will help the pain." She kisses him on the forehead as she leaves. All of a sudden, Felix couldn't move, but now he can move his finger like this. And pulls the pin out. They then blow up. Eleanor says to Paul, "I think it's time for us to leave." End of the film. Now, I've seen this film before, about a year ago, when I originally bought it. And I have to say, this is one of my favourite British horrors, because I think the acting's really good in it, and I think it's really thrilling and suspenseful, and the tension keeps on building. And what I like about it is you don't know what's going to happen. And when you watch it, you're just like, this movie is really, really gripping, because you're watching it, and it's got a small amount of characters in it, like most low-budget movies. But you just keep sitting there thinking, wow, this is really getting better and better. And as time goes on, you enjoy the movie more and more. David Oakes, who plays Justin, is just fantastic. He looks like somebody who's been in the army, who's seen a lot of agony, come home, found out what happened to his brother, and got even more psychotic. And you can just see it in his eyes. He's got that look in his eyes like, I could kill you at any minute. I don't care about any of you. And I really, really, really liked his character. And I like another person I think was good was Jack Gordon as Chris, because he played the a-hole role really, really good. He looked like the type of boy or guy, because they're grown up, I guess, who thinks that because he could beat up Felix in the party, that he could basically attack Justin, somebody who's been in the army, because he thought he was a tough guy. And basically, when he gets put in his place, he's like, and that's what you'd really get. So I like that. I also like the character who played Paul Liam Boyle because he looked ill through the whole thing because he'd been shot. And he didn't really have much to do in the movie, really, other than just sit there. I think the two female leads, Eleanor and Gemma, played by Florence Holt and Jenny Jacques, were fantastic. See, what I like about this film as well is you always think, oh, the blonde's gonna survive, the blonde nice girl. But in fact, Eleanor, played by Jenny Jacques, who was like the bitch of the movie, she survived, and that was great because it was quite original. That's another thing. The film was very original, and it just keeps your interest going and going and going and going. All the characters were spot on. Except for Mark Underwood as that cashier for that first 2 minutes. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Thought it was terrible. It ruined the whole movie. 2 minutes. I'm joking. I'm joking, obviously. But no, it's a really well acted film. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it because it's become one of my favourite British horrors. And, you know, I'd recommend it. If you haven't got the Blu-ray and you think about getting a DVD, let me just say, no matter, in case you don't, where you're not somewhere other than America or England, because England, was released in England on Blu-ray. I think that was the only place. I think. If so, it's a region 3 release. So basically, it plays on all Blu-ray players, just so you know, just in case you're interested in getting the Blu-ray. And I think it's pretty cheap on Amazon right now, because it's been out for a while. But anyway, final thoughts. Well acted, fantastic, very creepy, very thrilling. The tension rises, very suspenseful. Just keeps your attention building. And what I liked was when he tortures them, it's very realistic. There's nothing fancy about it. There's none of this shaky cam. There's none of this blood everywhere. It's as if it would really happen. Like when he shoots the pipe down her throat. She's choking on it, but you don't see like all this rubbish. And when one of them gets acid in their throat, the blood just pops out the mouth slowly. It's not like... So it was very realistic and very well acted. So I give it a 5 out of 5. And that's Truth or Dare from Cine Britannia. Highly recommend it. Definitely give it a go, guys, because it's a good little horror. It's not got a big budget, but a big budget isn't everything. It's really well acted. Check it out. I need to stop saying that. Check it out, check it out, check it out. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, take care and have a lovely day.